With the transfer window heating up, we take a look at how Eddie Howe's team could look at the end of this window. Find out right here on Toon Tactics TV, folks.
Brilliant from Schar. And now Murphy can take on the shot. Fabian Schar win!
All right, folks. How are you guys doing? Me, I'm very, very excited about tonight's stream, tonight's show, because I've been thinking about this for a while, and I feel like the transfer window or transfer targets are beginning to take shape, and I've been thinking about having, from this show, using the show as kind of having a comprehensive look on what Newcastle could look like at the end of this transfer window and what it could mean for the club going forward. But before we get into that, guys, first and foremost, let me know how you guys are doing in the chat, how things are. Are you about to go to sleep? Are you about to go to work? How was your day? I hope you guys are all blessed. And obviously, we just witnessed Arsenal's PSG game. Arsenal unluckily went 1-0, lost 1-0, and will be going off to Paris trying to overcome that deficit. So a lot to play for. So speaking of Champions League, I'm going to be speaking about Champions League throughout the show as well, and the opportunity that Newcastle might have in qualifying and what it would mean for our transfer window. Because for the folks that have been following the show, you know, for instance, I've been doing my I've been an armchair accountant, and I've kind of devised a little budget for Newcastle that I think Newcastle might be adhering to in the summer transfer window. It's been based on us gaining revenues from obviously the League Cup, winning the League Cup, but also from actually for qualifying for the Europa. But now that it looks like Newcastle, I think, are edging closer to qualifying for the transfer for the Champions League, I feel like we're going to see a change in our obviously in the revenue that we're going to receive, and hopefully also a change in how we approach the transfer window itself. So, but before I get into it, I wanted to talk about a little bit, not kind of other news that's still related to tonight's show, because to kind of warm the context behind it, because the players you would have seen from the thumbnail that I'm going to be talking about have all been, obviously we're going to be talking about Liam Delap, Marc Guehi, Anthony Elanga, and James Trafford. And I feel like these are the number one targets that Newcastle are looking for based on information given us from me, who are tier one journalists. And so I want to talk about these guys a little bit individually, but also collectively for what it means for the team. I want to compare them to the players that we have at Newcastle already, so we kind of get an idea of what are the upgrades, how do they upgrade the squad, and how is the vision Eddie Howe and Paul Mitchell, but obviously mainly Eddie Howe at the moment, have for the club going forward. But speaking of them, obviously we had news over the past week on some of these guys. I'm just going to breeze through it a little bit before we get into the nitty and the gritty of tonight's show. So, for instance, let me get into, can you guys see that? Yeah, you can. So, obviously, we had another update, and I appreciate this is I think it's from The Sun, from Jack Rosa. Again, this time Newcastle leading the race for Marc Guehi. I know that obviously not too much credit on The Sun, but we know that we had a transfer saga with Guehi in the last transfer window. Not because of Guehi, he wanted to go, but obviously Mr. Parrish wouldn't let him go. I strongly believe, my opinion is that Newcastle will revisit this, that he remains our number one target, and I think we'll go back in for him. So it's interesting that he comes up, but let me know what you guys think of that so far as well. We are going to be talking about him in a little bit more detail. But not just, this is a further news around Sancho Tonali. So we're not going to be just talking about players that, although we are going to be talking about players that we're looking to recruit. How about the players that we're looking to keep? Because that is going to be just as important. And we know, and it's good news again. This time from one of our tier one journalists in the Telegraph, I think Luke Edwards, who has explained that Sandro Tonali is looking to repay the faith that Eddie Howe, that Newcastle, that the fans have put in him. And he is definitely looking to stay at Newcastle at least this summer for this transfer window as well. So that is really, really positive. I know that we'll be talking about players that we're trying to bring in, but we all know the players that we need to keep are just as important, possibly even more important to some degree compared to the players that we're looking to bring in, because we don't have those players that we're bringing in. We have what we have. We don't want to lose the jewels that we have, and Sandro Tonali is certainly one of those jewels. Good to see you. And speaking of jewels in my chat, Liam knows you definitely are one of the jewels in our chat and into the channel. Good to see you, sir, and God bless you. Even if Liam Delap is being managed well, relegation clause, aims to play next step, a Brighton, Everton, or Palace if they lose Mateta. Oh, so what, Liam? You don't think that Delap will choose Newcastle or will come to Newcastle? Let me just clarify that. Where do you think he'll go, or like, do you think he won't go to Newcastle because you don't think he'll get minutes? Let me know. So it'd be good to get your take on it as well. And also from the NUFC blog, Newcastle now own one of the best strikers and midfielders in the world. Obviously, that's on the back of the fact that we've got Sandro Tonali said he's staying as well. So hopefully we'll also be able to keep Isak. Always a lot of news around Isak, whether it's Liverpool, Barcelona, all these guys. But look, my hope. I strongly believe that he's going to stay. Sandro Tonali sounds like he's pledged his future as well. Bruno Guimaraes is looking likely to stay as well. So good to have these guys here. There was also, and then player sales are going to be just as important. And it looks like they made this. Mr. Douglas made it from the Iron newspaper. Again, I see him as a tier one journalist. As I always say, he's the only one so far who's managed to get an hour and a half interview with Mr. Paul Mitchell out of all the journalists. And so I do believe that he gets his information either from Paul Mitchell or somebody in his camp. So again, news here from the Iron newspaper. And if you actually read a news from the Iron newspaper, it's a one-liner. They made it into a title, but it was like a throw-off comment almost. Newcastle midfielder Sean Longstaff is a summer transfer target for Leeds United, which doesn't surprise me. If you're a club that's just been promoted to the Premier League, Leeds United, Burnley, and anybody else that follows them, Sean Longstaff, I think if you need to bolster your midfield, I think Sean Longstaff, it doesn't surprise me that Sean Longstaff is, with his Premier League experience, his incredible work off the ball. Yes, could he improve a little bit on the ball? Yes, but he's still a certified Premier League player and will probably come at a decent price as well. So it doesn't surprise me that he's linked to Leeds. He's usually heavily linked to Everton. So I wouldn't be surprised if Everton come back in for him as well. So again, we've seen that. Was there anything else I wanted to talk about? Yeah, okay. So speaking of Liam Delap, and it's good to hear that Liam knows, obviously spoke about him as well. TB, there's a couple of news. There's also from the Telegraph. So this is from Team Talk, also from TBR Sports, all saying that Newcastle are on the trail, but also I think it came from the Telegraph as well, tier one journalist as well. For me, to Luke Edwards, Newcastle United are looking into signing Liam Delap from Ipswich as they gear up for an ambitious summer recruitment drive. And mine is kind of reading it as well. I can't remember if it was from this article actually, but essentially that I can't remember if it's from this report that Eddie Howe's already kind of spoke to Liam via video call and all these type of things there, which doesn't surprise me. I imagine Eddie Howe and the club would have sat down and spoke to a couple of players as well. So, and I read today as well that Liam Delap, unlike Cunha, in my opinion, who's already kind of sounds like his pleasures future to Man United, is Liam's, Mr. Delap has basically said, he knows that Chelsea, Newcastle, Man United all really want him. And he's just going to give it a few weeks to see who qualifies for Europe because he wants to go. This is going back to what Liam, I think, in relation is what Liam you're saying in terms of game time. I think game time is a prerequisite, and I think this is why Liam Delap is saying to the clubs who are in for him, i.e., Newcastle, Man United, Arsenal, and clubs across in Europe. I think he's looking to stay in the league. Is that, hey, let me see if you guys qualify for Europe, because and then obviously what Newcastle, whoever that club is, or hopefully it's Newcastle, there'll be more games and more opportunities to gain those minutes. I mean, Newcastle will play, I think, nearly 50, maybe even just above 50 games a season by the time we finish. And that's on the back of the domestic leagues that we've had. So I think there's a Liam, when we get into Europe, that's going to be a guaranteed, I think, I can't remember in the group stages, are they playing 8 games? 5 to 8 games already added to what we're playing. So he'll get plenty of game time in Europe and in the domestic cups and in the Premier League as well, Liam will. And he'll be playing. And I think there's an option that, from what I understand reading the reports, there'll be games where Eddie Howe's looking to play both Isak and Delap together, as well as obviously rotating the guys together. So he'll get plenty of minutes at Newcastle United. And I think you'll see him getting developed as well. Liam knows, I think, a younger old head as backup to Isak. No smoke without fire. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, no, don't say it. The rumours just don't go away. He's in the free, not for me, but squad build, he may be what Howe wants. I think after spilling the beans to the Daily Telegraph and everybody else, to go from Liam Delap to Calvert-Lewin would not look good on Newcastle. I'm hoping that ship has sailed. I'll be really, really honest. There was a point where I thought Calvert-Lewin wouldn't be a bad idea, but I think there's too many young talents around as well. But yeah, I understand what you're saying there, but I'm really hoping it's Liam Delap, in my opinion. So I just wanted to go through that news to kind of explain that, hey, Marc, Guehi, Liam Delap, still are big targets, old targets, some of them as well, players that we're keeping, because all of this is going to seep into the stuff we're talking about today. And today I want to be able to talk about comprehensively a little bit about, yes, who I think the players at Newcastle are, my idea of what I think from who the targets are, and kind of how they match to our squad, how it is looking like Eddie Howe and Paul Mitchell are kind of looking to evolve the squad, and essentially what would look like at the end of the summer transfer window. So it's quite a comprehensive look as well. Let me see what you guys would think about that as well. And good to see you, Petros Glebus. Hi, Ty, for the show. I have a question or a point regarding Delap. Obviously, I like him. Can he play a strong tool? Yes, but we already had such a player in Chris Wood, and it wouldn't work. Thoughts? I think for me, Petros, the difference between Delap, I'm actually going to talk about Delap in a moment. So hold that thought, Petros. But I think the immediate thing for Delap is that he definitely has more pace and running power. And Eddie actually commented about his running power. Anthony says it here, Wood is immobile, at least Delap can run the channels. Yeah. And actually, hold that thought. He's a complete striker. And he actually has a lot more characteristics compared to Isak than he has to Wood. So just hold on to that thought and let me know what you think. But let's kick things off. Let me make sure I get into it, because there is quite a few things that I want to be able to talk about tonight. And I want you guys' thoughts on some of this, or all of it, all of the stuff as well. on where we are going. So let's get into it. All right, so let me make sure you guys can see that. Yeah, buddy, as Ronnie Coleman would say. So let me get back into it. Right, so Eddie Howe's ultimate summer transfer window. I'm good because I want to be able to, because my main aim isn't necessarily, because there's 4 players. So we're going to be talking about Marc Guehi, Liam Delap, Anthony Elanga, and Mr. Trafford. All of these players Newcastle have either bidded for previously, or there is like essentially, like for instance, in the case of James Trafford, Tier 1 journalist Craig Hope has basically said, look, he's coming, like, unless there's essentially Newcastle expect no hitches. Like from a Newcastle perspective, from Craig Hope's perspective, he's fully so it sounds very conclusive. It's how some journalists are talking about him. So I've included him in this, and obviously Liam Delap at the moment is very much someone that we're looking to get, and it seems to be an open race for him, and Newcastle have kind of declared their intent. So speaking of James Trafford, and before, so I want you to guys know that I've used. So I'm going to talk about the strengths of. Let me zoom in a little bit. So what I've done is I've used the stats from FBref. And I've compared FB, and I've compared the stats to between these players, and so that's how I'm looking at them at the moment, because I want to be able to understand. Okay, if Newcastle are looking to get this new player, what is it that this player has over what we currently got? So in this case, obviously James Trafford, and so I compared the stats of James Trafford for this year compared to Nick Pope. And from that, we're going to see, A, what key strength James Trafford has over Nick Pope, B, what strengths does Nick Pope have over James Trafford, and kind of give a summary of that, and kind of do it the same with the other players that were coming in. So we kind of get, and we kind of put it together, we'll kind of get kind of a running theme of how Newcastle are looking to improve and develop the team going forward. So I hope that makes sense. I thought it was really, really interesting kind of going through these. And if you guys haven't been on FBref before, I advise you guys do, especially if you like data and stuff, but it kind of gives you a good feeling about what this player is. So how does it look, guys, on your screen? Let me just double check. Yeah, that's not bad. I think you guys can see that. Let me exit. Right, so let's talk about it. Right, so here we go. So, key strengths of James Trafford over Nick Pope: shot stopping and clean sheets. Now, I understand, obviously, we know James Trafford is 21 years old. First of all, plays for Burnley. They've recently qualified. He's had an incredible run of like clean sheets. I can't remember if like 12, 13 in a row and stuff like that. I understand, obviously. So we're going to keep it in context. He's playing in the Championship, slightly lower level. I know people, including myself, had reservations about James Trafford because the last time he was in the Premier League, he did not have the greatest of times. However, I take it down. I look at it as incredibly good learning experience. He'd have been like 19, 20. And obviously he's an England under 21, 23s international, won the Euros with Cole Palmer, Gordon, Madueke, all those guys. And he has really proved himself exceptional. So that's the context when we're obviously comparing him to Nick Pope. He's playing in the Championship as well. So, but I'm going to draw, we can still extrapolate some things around that from what we can see. And I think from what Eddie Howe and Paul Mitchell are seeing. So shot stopping and clean sheets. He's obviously, Trafford has lower goals against him per average. Compared to and has a better clean sheet percentage. Again, I'm not going to look at it too much because we've still got decent clean sheets as well, and we're playing in a higher league. However, if we go to a little bit of a granular detail when we're looking at expected goals, so overperformance against expected goals, Trafford's is higher. So it shows he prevents more goals than expected. So he's performing above, making him effective relative to the quality of shots faced, which is really, really good. He's overperforming and consistently so. Penalty saving, he's good at passing accuracy. So he's a very much like a ball playing goalkeeper. Is really and bringing him compared to Nick Pope. Trafford has a higher pass completion rate of 78% for 73 for Nick Pope, and more passes attempted and or completed by some margin as well, by about 8%. He is more reliable in possession and distribution. So he's very much a ball-playing goalkeeper. Obviously, he's got that Man City background. They get those type of players as well. So that's going to be... So you can see an emphasis for Eddie Howe is looking to be able to play out from the back a lot more. Cross-handling. So where does Nick Pope edge over Mr. Trafford? That is in so just to go back on the passing accuracy, I do think that Eddie Howe is going to really, really emphasize Newcastle being able to play out from out the back, because teams are going to try and set up low blocks or mid blocks, and having a goalkeeper. And you would have seen Edison do it against us. You would have seen other, I think, I can't remember, someone's keepers did it against us as well, where they become almost like the 11th man on the pitch. And they're able to thread through passes and break lines. And Trafford has some of those skills as well. So I think that's going to be incredible important weapon for us. So where does Nick Pope have an edge over Mr. Trafford, and where Mr. Trafford might need to improve? And that is the cross-handling and sweeper action. So Pope stops more crosses by some margin. Now that it could be said maybe in the Championship, Trafford is maybe facing less crosses because of Burnley's defense, but still, that's going to be a big thing. Being able to handle crosses for Newcastle is going to be very, very important. That's a strength that Pope has. So this, again, back to Pope, will also be made active as a sweeper keeper. So Trafford is a sweeper keeper himself. Pope is just doing it more as well for Newcastle. And I personally think it's because obviously of our aging centre backs. So I think teams are much more inclined to have players running beyond the lines and trying to get the ball over the top because of our really robust midfield and try and be direct. So I think, in my opinion, why Pope's sweeper actions are higher than Trafford's, because there's more of it happening against us than it is against Burnley. But I could be wrong about that. So I note that because Trafford was doing a lot more super keeping actions, super actions when he was with Burnley previously. And the other strength that Pope has is handling higher shot volume. So Pope faces more shots, which goes back to our defense. Pope faces more shots on target by some margin as well, 4.38 per game versus Trafford's 2.25, which shows, again, different levels in Championship and Premier League, and probably how good Burnley's defense is, and makes more saves, 3.03 shots typically versus Trafford 1.86, showing he can handle a higher workload. Yeah, could be likely due to Newcastle's more open defensive setup. So in summary, hopefully Trafford isn't going to have to handle so much shots when he comes in, because we'll have a centre back and we'll be even stronger, and Botman will be back. But it is something to keep a note of. How does Trafford respond should our backs be against the wall and the goal be getting peppered? It'll be interesting to see. In summary, Trafford's key strengths over Pope lie in his shot stopping, clean sheet record, overperforming against expected goals, which is important. Penalty saving, so he's able to, he's facing better quality of, he's performing really well against quality shots, and passing accuracy, making him a more efficient and reliable goalkeeper in a structured defensive setup. Pope excels in handling crosses, we know that, sweeping and dealing with a higher volume of shots, fitting in a role in a team that faces more defensive pressure. So in short, Trafford's key strengths being able to, his ability to distribute the ball, work with his feet, but also his quality in shot stopping, his age. Obviously, like I mentioned, he's 21, 22. Like he could be at Newcastle for the next 10 plus years. But also we'll talk about it a little bit later, his price, which is around between 20 to 25 million pounds as well. So it is a really, really worthwhile investment. So let me know what you guys think of Trafford so far. Before we move on to the next one, I'm going to read your comments. I've got a few here as well, got a few people in as well. So let me know what you guys think. William Smith, good to see you, sir. God bless you. I think Chris Wood might have worked if we had someone to provide service like Murphy is now. Yeah, I could definitely see that. Liam knows we identify a player, we go back, we will go for Guehi like we did Botman. I agree. Chelsea concern me though, they will get a buyback and plus discount. Yeah, that's stiff competition from Chelsea, to be honest. I wonder what Marc Guehi would think about that though. The club that let him go, would he take it as would he take it personally, or would he be like, okay, now they know who I am? And obviously they're still in London. Would that be a big thing for him? Petros Glebas, good players. Can Elanga play up front or left? He can. He can play across the front three. We're going to be talking about him as well. Great questions though. William Smith, I'm a huge no on Guehi. He is bang average. Oh, so you're not huge on, he's a good player, but he doesn't elevate us or the position, in my opinion. Fair play to you, William, and we'll talk about him and see. We can talk about him in a little bit more depth. Anthony Allen, I'd love to try for Scalvini. Not came back from bad injury, but he's a beast. I've heard about Scalvini as well. Yeah, he's definitely working his way back. Petros Glebas, I also think we will get one central midfielder. I hope we do. That is my hope, to replace Longstaff and be a cover for Joe Linton or Tonali. And I hope we did. I spoke about that. If you haven't seen the previous episode, the previous show, Petros Glebas, I talked about the midfielders that I would like. I talked about Lamine Kamara, Mateus Fernandes, who's the guy I really, really want. There's a third midfielder, but I didn't mention him. But yeah, have a look at that show. Let me know what you think from it as well. Petros Glebas, agree with William. I don't see how Guehi would heavily improve what we already have, but for 35 million, we'll take him no more. Okay, well, speaking of it, it segues us really nicely onto Mr. Guehi, because he is the next person that we're going to talk about. And let's see what you guys think. So for me, like I said, James Trafford makes a lot of sense. I really, really am looking forward to having him. If he's the player if he's the goalkeeper that we get, I personally would be very, very happy with that. So on to Mr. Guehi, who's already split an opinion. All right, so I've compared him, obviously, him to Fabian Schar, who I think he will be replacing, or at least, trying to dislodge anyway. So key strengths for Marc Guehi over Fabian Schar. So tackling and 1v1 defending. This is the reason why teams keep on going over the top. This is the reason why we lost to Fulham, to Bournemouth, to Aston Villa, to Man City so heavily, which was the balls over the top and players isolating, and especially by design, singling out Fabian Schar and at times Dan Burn because of their lack of pace. So Guehi's higher tackle numbers, so he nearly 1.7, nearly 2 higher tackles compared to Fabian Schar. So he's nearly twice as better as Fabian Schar in his 1v1 tackles. Just a reminder, Guehi is 24 years old. Playing for Crystal Palace. So tackles, his tackles one is also very high, 0.97 versus Fabian Schar's 0.66. So it looks like Guehi is at least nearly 97% likely to win his 1v1 duels. That's really, really good. Win his tackles, which is very important. And success rate against dribblers, 66.7% for Guehi, in comparison to 41% for Fabian Schar. We can I can imagine see, and there's a flash in our minds when we remember Fabian Schar against dribblers and what it's done to us, and having someone with the ability of a Guehi in his 1v1 duels, 1v1 tackles, as well as against dribblers will be super, super important for us. The other one is blocks and defensive reliability. Guehi blocks more, 1.66 versus to Fabian Schar's 1.27. Now that could be said because maybe maybe Crystal Palace face more shots in comparison to Newcastle. I don't know. We just saw the fact that Pope is having to save nearly 3 or 4 shots per game. So maybe I'm being a bit. Maybe I'm not giving Guehi enough credit, to be honest. So in blocks more pass. So Guehi blocks more overall and blocks more passes, 0.97 compared to Fabian Schar's 0.42 with fewer errors. So he's at 0.06 versus Fabian Schar's 0.10, making him more reliable defender in disrupting opposition play. So so in defensive actions, he's got a lot more higher stat compared to, and he's better than Fabian Schar quite significantly. Take on effectiveness, and I think this is one of the key aspects that they're really looking at Guehi. Guehi's higher take on success rate, which is 78.6% versus Fabian Schar 66.7%. And more carries into the. So before we get into that, so take on literally has been able to travel with the ball. I think different stats have it in different distances. Some do it 5 yards, some do it 10 yards. I think FBref does it 10 yards, so anything before of 10 yards and above. So and if you see Marc Guehi, his ability, we'll look at his highlight actually if we get a chance to. He's able to take the ball. Sometimes drops the shoulder, gets past the attacker trying to press him, and he drives into the midfield area before releasing the ball. He's really, really good at that. So his take on effectiveness, a higher take on success, 78.6% versus Fabian Schar, 66.7%, and more carries into the penalty area. Show he's more effective when advancing the ball into, and his carries into the penalty area. So he even gets as far as the penalty area. And he shows he's more effective when advancing the ball into dangerous areas. So Newcastle might not have to spend so much time, for instance, trying to pass midfields, for instance, or risk losing the ball when you've got centre-backs in the likes of Guehi who can do that. So where Fabian Schar has an edge, and especially when we're trying to break down low blocks, that is a real edge for us. So where Fabian Schar has an edge, interceptions and clearances, Schar has a high interception, 0.84 versus 0.69 and to Guehi, and clearances of 1.4 versus 0.97 of Guehi. It shows he's more effective in breaking up play and clearing danger. So maybe there is something there for Mr. Guehi to work on, and maybe playing for a higher performing team and under Eddie Howe, that can be ironed out. Ball progression, Schar has more carries, 16.1 versus 14.3, so that's the rate. Greater carry distances, 44.9 versus 33.3 against Guehi, and more progressive carries into the final third, 0.8 versus 0.69 Guehi, indicating he contributes more to advancing play from the back. That's an interesting stat. I wonder if this improves for Guehi when he's in a better team and a better midfield, especially. I wonder if the way Joe Linton, Tonali, and Bruno Gomes press and push forward helps in Schar being able to advance the ball forward. I think so. And ball security, Schar receives more passes, 49.5 touches versus 38.8 on average touches of Guehi, and has fewer missed controls, 0.38 versus Guehi's 0.5, and dispossessions, 0.21 to Schar versus 0.5 of Guehi, making him more reliable in possession. I would argue maybe because Guehi is dependent upon to kind of break the lines of his ball carries a lot more, that he risks the ball a little bit more than Fabian Schar does. but it's very, very interesting as well to kind of see that. So in summary, Guehi's strengths over Schar lie in his tackling, 1v1 defending, blocking, and overall defensive reliability, making him more robust and effective defender in direct confrontations. Schar, however, excels in interceptions, clearances, ball progression, and fitting his role as a ball-playing defender who contributes to build-up play. And I don't think by recruiting Guehi, for instance, if it were, that necessarily Newcastle sacrificed their ability to be able to build up play. I think there's more than one, and there's going to be a common theme. There's more than one way to skin a cat. So if we want to progress the ball forward, build up play from the back, you can have defenders who can carry the ball, like a Guehi, or you can have the players who can pass the ball, like a Schar. I think Guehi can do both. And we've seen that in his ability to distribute the ball as well. And I'll show the highlights to kind of explain that and see that. So Guehi has a really good balance of being able to take on the ball, but also to be able to pass the ball. So I'll read a few more chats and kind of show Guehi's highlights. But let me know what you guys think of Guehi. If we were to get him, I can't remember who said 35 million for Petros Galibas. I wouldn't be surprised if we got him somewhere between 40 and 50 million. In my opinion, I think he's still a very desirable defender to have, and I think you're going to see something similar with when I compare Jacob Murphy to Anthony Elanga, but you can definitely see a lot of dynamism in what Guehi does in terms of. I'll show the video actually, and then we'll get back to your chats as well to show what I mean. His take-ons and his ability on the ball as well. Again, goes back to our ability. Both Guehi and Trafford show that Eddie Howe. Oh, you guys can't see this. I was about to. That Eddie Howe and Paul Mitchell are really trying to get players, are emphasizing on in terms of developing our play and our style of play. They're really emphasizing our ability to play the ball from out the back. And to be able to do it in different ways, either through line-breaking passes or through take-ons and ball progression, which Guehi and Trafford are able to provide us as well. So you're going to see if we get Guehi and Trafford or players of that profile, it's going to be almost quite. We're gonna see a real evolution in Newcastle style of play. So let me show you guys what I mean, and make sure you guys can see this on the screens as well. Yes, you can. So let me just show you. This is Marc Guehi highlights, and I might also take a little trip back to Trafford if I get the chance as well. So this is 24-25 season for Mr. Guehi via Ultra FC TV. Obviously playing for Palace. He's currently 24 years old. He's also a captain for Palace, as has been so. I can't remember if he was captain last season, captain this season. They're also now in the final. You see that take on right there. Get the ability. Look how far advanced he is as well. His ability to hold defenders off. This is a key thing. This is why he's able to progress the ball. Also, ability to find himself in dangerous areas and score. You see how high he is in terms of being able to press. This is his 1v1 duels right there, collecting the ball, being able to carry the ball and pass the ball. This is it. Okay, so brilliant. This is a great example of what I think Eddie Howe is looking for. Make sure you guys can see that and you're able to focus on this, because I know Fabian Schar is a man of talent, but I think this is where this is what Eddie Howe is looking for. You see this? There's now two attackers here trying to close in on Mr. Guehi. He's got an option of being able to pass to Adam Wharton here, but he knows that this attacker in number 6 to the left here is waiting for that pass so he can just try and dispossess Wharton. So Guehi decides, fine, I'll take you on myself. Lovely little turn, look at that, drop of the shoulder. This is the drop of the shoulder that I was talking about. This is the drop of the shoulder that I'm talking about, that Guehi is able to provide. right here. Yeah, he knows they're looking. That's the triggered pass. He goes away, drop of the shoulder, gone. Attacker has no way. And look at that line breaking pass. The line breaking pass that sets up an attack. Again, does it there. Also, decent defender in 1v1s. This is him closing down. Again, 1v1 defending. Good tackle there. Playing out from the back. Look at that. Calm under pressure. Passes it, gets it off. I think he scores here as well. Show one more example. I want to be able to see if hopefully we get one more example of him being able to play the ball from out the back. But I think that's going to be key. Again, collects it. Look at that. Defender tries to close him down. No problem. Drop of the shoulder. And there's a pass with the right foot. Switch of play again. So you see that? So just because his take-ons are higher and his distribution is lower, in terms of like his passing distribution is lower than Fabian Schar, it doesn't mean that he can't do what Fabian Schar can do. He can do both. So I think this is the key reasons why, as well as the 1v1 defending, these are the key reasons why Newcastle are looking at Mr. Guehi. But let me know what you guys think before I progress to the next player. Let me set this up. I'll read you guys' chats. But yeah, like Newcastle, Eddie Howe, Paul Mitchell are placing a heavy emphasis on Newcastle's ability to be able to play out from the back, to press up high, because with a Guehi you can press up high because you can rely on him to be able to deal with situations in 1v1 battles. Anthony Allen, Pope, straight swap with Trafford. Obviously, some money going their way too. So not a bad deal, actually, isn't it? That's not a bad deal. William Smith, for 30, 35 million, I would look for a younger, more athletic RCB with higher ceiling in Europe. Ah, it's interesting. Let me know who you'd go for. Let me know who you'd go for. Look at Chevalier. I think Trafford is better than Chevalier. But he's a good player, Chevalier. Good player. I think PSG are looking at him. Liam Knowles, excuse me. Dortmund's Gregor Kobel has been rumoured instead of Trafford. Yeah, I saw that one. I may, because I've got a real heavy bias to what Craig Kobel said, and maybe I'm wrong. I just think there's clubs that are using Newcastle's name, and I might be wrong about it, Liam, to be honest. I just don't see it. But I'll keep out for it. I might even do a profile view of him. William Smith, Guehi's better than Schar, but Schar is brutal at times. At CB, he loses focus and too often is caught out of position. He may get you a goal, but he costs you more, in my opinion. That can, especially against, again, the games that we mentioned, Fulham, Aston Villa, Man City. It was criminal. But at the same time, Schar's been part of our best defense, I think, in the second season of under Howe as well. It's crazy. Anthony Allen. Oh, wow, I've got tons of chats. I'll get back to all of them. I'll try to get as many as I can. Anthony Allen, he could work on not scoring as many own goals. Yeah. I know what you mean. Davey Eddie, I have always liked Guehi. I would be more than happy if we signed them. Me too, Davey. Good to see you, sir, as well, by the way. God bless you, sir. Good to see you. By the way, Anthony Allen, is it your first time to the show? God forgive me. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but if it is, a great way to have you, and God bless you, sir. William Smith, on that 5th goal versus Crystal Palace, if I can remember it, most blamed Lacroix, but watch it again and tell me Guehi isn't the one that put Lacroix in an opposite, in an impossible. I'll look at it up again, William. Remind me that, and I'll look it up. But that was a torrid game, and Newcastle can do that to teams. We can do that to teams where they just lose themselves in terms of, because the pressure, the heat that we bring on, we just, Ipswich just experienced that and they just folded. But yeah, I remind me to look at that. Oh, where the Arsenal, good to see you, sir. Good to see you, sir. Love these breakdowns. Big up the two, big up to you. So always good to see. My man, Big Preach. God bless you and congratulations, Big Preach, on winning the Premier League. Big Preach is a Liverpool fan. You guys have seen him on the show before. I remember my camera went bust and my audio wasn't working, but Mr. Preach was holding down the fort. God bless you, Mr. Preach. Good to see you. So I'm going to get back to the chats because I don't want to run out of time. But you guys have been absolutely fantastic. I'm glad you guys enjoying the show. All right, so that's Trafford, that's Guehi. Both for me indicate Newcastle are heavily, like I said, looking to build upon playing out from out the back, but also looking to press up high next year. This year, if you guys look at our stats in terms of winning the ball up high, in the final thirds have been low, like mid-table stuff. And I think Eddie Howe wants to get back to the intensity, and you can't do that if you've got, you know, nearly mid-30 centre backs. So Guehi and a Botman would rectify that problem very, very swiftly. So speaking of, let's have a look. Let me make sure you guys can see that. Remember, once or twice I've assumed you guys can see what I can see, but you cannot. Anthony Elanga and Mr. Jacob Murphy. Now, Anthony Elanga, as you guys will be aware, we actually bid for him in the final days, on the final day of last season. We actually bid 35 million plus Miggy Almer on, and and Forest swiftly rejected it. And in hindsight, it has proven to be a very, very good decision from Forest. But as we said before, and I think somebody else mentioned it in the chat, Newcastle really don't. Newcastle stay maintain their long-term targets for a long time. I wouldn't be surprised if we go back in for Elanga. I'll be interested to know what Forest PSR situation is as well, and if Newcastle will look to take advantage of that. But Anthony Elanga is the man we bid for. I think obviously was looking at Madueke as well, but and that might be someone we're going to go back to. But Anthony Elanga, he's growing on me, guys. He is growing on me. When I first heard about the bid, I was like, oh, mate, are we really going that way? But he has improved. And actually, there is a scouting report from Opta, from I forgot the guy's names. But it was a really good new scouting report that if I'm gonna go through Anthony Lang a lot more detail, because it shows how he's improved. In a couple of weeks' time, should rumours begin to heat up again for him. But Anthony Elanga, so why did Newcastle go for Anthony Elanga? Why did we bid so much money for him and the player? So his key strengths of Anthony Elanga over Jacob Murphy. So goal scoring threat. Elanga has a higher goals per 90 versus Jacob Murphy. So 0.46 to Jacob Murphy's 0.29. And XG, which is expected goals, which is 0.29 versus 0.17 of Jacob Murphy. So he's far more of a goal scoring threat compared to Jacob Murphy. Shows he's more effective in scoring and getting into high quality shooting positions. And then again, I want you guys to keep the phrase of there's more than one way to skin a cat, because we know Jacob Murphy has got a different way of being able to be threatening towards the goal as well. But I think Anthony Elanga offers something different. Shooting volume. And obviously, as well, we know that Anthony Elanga is 22 now, plays for Nottingham Forest, and Sweden next to Mr. Alexander Isak. So I think that could be another reason, a big reason, if we're looking at profiles, if we're looking at partnerships. You're going to have international teammates, guys that are familiar with each other. Isak's very familiar with Elanga's game and vice versa. It makes a lot of sense. So shooting volume, Elanga takes more shots, 3.16 versus, but this is per game. So nearly very much 3 shots per game versus Jacob Murphy's 1.77, and gets more on target, 1.54. So nearly 2 shots on target per game versus Jacob Murphy's 0.65. So he's far more threatening towards the goal, making him more frequent threat in front of goal. And ball progression, Elanga's superior progressive carries. Again, a theme of similar to Marc in comparison to between Guehi and Fabian Schar. Elanga and Jacob Murphy. Elanga's, again, progressive carries is a big theme that Eddie Howe and Paul Mitchell are looking at. So if you look at it, Elanga's superior progressive carries 3.46 versus Jacob Murphy's 2.97. So nearly 1.5 more. No, excuse me, nearly half more carries. And progressive passes received. So passes received that are in the forward position. So Elanga puts himself in far more forward positions to receive passes, and progressive passes received 7.19, so 7 times during per game, versus Jacob Murphy's 6 times. Highlights his ability to advance play and contribute to attacking transitions. So there's always that level higher, it appears, Elanga. Set piece involvement, Elanga has higher numbers in dead ball passes. So free kicks, 24 versus 5 to Jacob Murphy's, and corner kicks, 65 versus 14, Jacob Murphy. So he's got quality in the ball by the looks of it. Shows he's more involved in set piece situation, adding to his versatility. And this is what Newcastle are looking for, versatility. So where does Jacob Murphy have an edge? Assisting and playmaking, very much so. I think he's got 10 contributions this season, assists this season, 11. And when you have Isak in front of you, that tends to be the situation. Then again, Elanga's got Wood, who's on fire as well, but Wood isn't Isak. Murphy has a higher assist per 90. Playmaking ability, particularly through passes. Excuse me. So that's 57 SCA, which is shot creating actions, versus 57 shot creating actions from Murphy compared to Elanga's 48. Passing involvement, Murphy completes more passes, 593 versus 426. Again, by that Nottingham Forest game, this is keeping in context. We know that Nottingham Forest are very much a counter-attacking team. They love to be in a low block and try to break on opponents as well. I think those stats change for Elanga. So I think you'll see a lot more passes from Elanga playing for Newcastle with a higher completion rate. So fine. Defensive contribution, Murphy has higher tackles, 2.2 versus Elanga's 1.7. That's interesting. Interceptions, 0.9 versus 0.5 for Elanga. Clearances, for 3.3 versus 2.2 for Elanga. And success rate against dribblers. Again, interesting, 53.3% versus Elanga's 25%. It's interesting because the scouting report that I read shows that Elanga is improving in his defensive contributions as well, and is really good at it. But obviously Murph, I think once Eddie Howe gets his hand on him, those stats will also get improved. Showing greater involvement in build-up play, all right, and defensive contribution. Yeah, we'll talk about that. Sorry. So in summary, Elanga's key strengths over Murphy lie in his goal scoring, shooting volume, ball progression, and set piece involvement, making him more direct and dynamic attacking threat. And I would bet my bottom dollar that you probably find the same thing for Madueke, for instance. I can see that being the same case for Madueke, hence why Newcastle are looking at him. Murphy excels in assisting playmaking, passing involvement, defensive work rate, and clinical finishing, fitting a more well-rounded winger role in Newcastle's system. So interesting there. So whereas Elanga is dynamic in his ability on the ball carries, I'm sure dribbling, taking on a man, getting past players, receiving the ball in dangerous situations. Murphy's obviously a lot more around picking up the ball, passing the ball, assisting as well. Not as dynamic on the ball running past players as Elanga, but I think, and so it's different kind of, again, more ways to skin a cat. And I think Elanga offers something different. If we've got someone that's exactly like Jacob Murphy, it makes no sense to keep Jacob Murphy. So again, it gives Eddie Howe an option, players to bring off the bench to change the game or whatnot, and have a different attacking option. So they offer something really, really, really different. But let me know what you guys think of Elanga. Also, the scouting report kind of showed that Elanga's playing a lot more across the front three, taking up central positions. He does need to work on a little bit on his passing, especially his decision making, particularly his decision making. But again, I see this as something that's right up Eddie Howe Street, in my opinion. So let me know what you guys think about that. Again, an emphasis on being able to transition play as well, having players that can carry the ball, catch teams off guard as well. But also, if you've got someone that can dribble, like Anthony Elanga, you also got an ability to play. You got a different way to be able to break down low blocks. You've got Foles congratulating him, Mr. Preach and Liverpool. Good stuff, good stuff, good stuff. Where did I sleep? League winner, Big Preach in the building. Indeed, indeed, indeed. Anthony Allen, a ball traveller. Excuse me, sorry. Took it off by accident. Anthony Allen, a ball traveller. A ball traveller over RCB would complement Botman nicely as his good line breaking passer. You're talking about Marc Guehi. I agree. I really think it's a good partnership that Marc Guehi and Botman can make. They have such different strengths. Botman, the bigger, stronger, taller, the henchman almost type of goal, but at the same time, Rolls Royce, we know him on the ball. Guehi, but a little bit more reserved and cautious. Whereas Guehi would be the more risk taker, taking on players, like you said, ball carrying as well as his passing as well, but also having the athleticism and the ability in his 1v1 duels. Both of them have that as well. I think they could form a formidable partnership, in my opinion. Good point there, Anthony. Sophie B, good to see. I haven't seen you in a while. I hope everything goes well and that you are blessed. Hope you are blessed. Good to see you. Hey, Philip, long time. Indeed. I hope you're well. I hope you're well. Liam Knowles looking for Liverpool to double down on Chelsea at the... Yeah, come on, Preach. We need you guys to do us a favor. We need you guys to lay off the champagne, at least for that 90 minutes and do us all a favor. Looking for 100% for last 4 games. Good stuff. Very good stuff. Thanks, Preach. Sophie B, hope you're well. Been away from the YouTube, to be honest. Been living up in Greece. You know what? That's a very good reason to stay off social media and to stay off YouTube. And well done. And I don't know if you're still in Greece, Sophie, but I hope you're having a great, great time. And well done to you for doing that. Sophie B, I do like Guehi, but personally wouldn't deal with Palace again, to be honest, after the last... Yeah, nobody wants time wasted, do they? And I think it'll be interesting to see, Sophie, if... I know that Paul Mitchell was there when it happened, but he joined on July the 5th. I don't know why I remember that day. I think it's because I read up about it. We have to have a deadline, literally, where I think we just say, for instance, 45 million, let us know by Friday. If you don't want it, we've gone on to the next target. It's what I expect. Honestly, we cannot be doing this. I agree with you, Sophie. Adrian Pickett, God bless you, sir. Get Guehi in. So you're fully sold on Guehi. That's good. That's good. That's good. Lee, God bless you, sir. Good to see you. What do you think of the links of Dortmund? I saw that one, but you know what, Lee? I know what your take is on this. Let me know what you think. And for the folks that don't know, it's to do with Schlotterbeck, who I think is a good defender as well. Because all that kind of link said was Schlotterbeck was saying, or his agent, or whoever was saying that he had the video call with Newcastle, with Eddie Howe, but no matter where Dortmund finish in the league, no matter what his own injury situation is or what clubs are coming, he's loyal to Dortmund. So for me, that was just a what's the word I can say? Like, not propaganda, maybe propaganda or whatever, to just, I think it's more about him showing Dortmund that he's loyal, like, rather than him being interested in Newcastle. That's how I read it, Lee. Let me know what you think. I'll read a couple more chats for there before I then proceed to talk about Liam Delap. Sophie B. Chevalier is clear of Trafford. Really? Do you think so? I swear to the program on comparing these guys before. He will have more Champions League experience. I think if he's not in the French squad already, he's on the verge there. That's interesting. That's interesting. And I've seen him play a few times. He's shorter than Trafford. Okay. We'll have a think about that. Lee, what do you think of the release with Dortmund Gold? Is that around Schlotterbeck? Let me know, Lee. I did answer that question though. And where to outsleep, Guehi at the right price would be perfect for us. Don't want to blow too much of the budget on him though. Let me know what budget, how much you'd spend on him. Let me know what would be your like cut-off point. I'll be really interested to see. So let's talk about, we've talked about the goalkeeper, James Trafford. We've talked about the defender, Marc Guehi. Again, an emphasis on ball-playing goalkeepers, ball-playing centre-backs who can drop the shoulder and take on, get past pressing attackers, who can also provide line-breaking passes onto right wingers who are dynamic in front of goal, got a lot of pace, power, carry the ball far, goal threats and shot, and love to take shots as well. And Anthony Elanga, transitional players. To now, our forwards, Liam Delap. Now I've compared Liam Delap to Mr. Isak. Not because I think Isak is leaving and Delap is going to replace him, but I think and we talked about this before for the folks that have seen this, is that Newcastle are getting strikers. You can even include Osola in this, and the strikers that we tried to get in before, like Hugo Ekitike, João Pedro, all of whom have a very similar profile to Isak. And Liam Delap is no different. In fact, let me show you, as I got this from before I get into this part, let me show you guys who FB Ref compared him to. Let me share. Where art thou? Marc Guehi, Elanga, Trafford. Hey, where are you? The app's not there. Okay, so let me. I'll share this screen, but then I'll go to Mr. Let me make sure you guys can see that. Yeah, you can. All right, so let me find Liam Delap, because then you'll see who his stats compare to, and why I think it gives a good clue as to why Newcastle are looking at him. Obviously, he's 20. By the way, he's 22 years old. Plays for Ipswich, Man City's academy player. Former academy players. He won, I think, the under-21 league with them as well. Plays for England. He'll be going to the England under-23 tournament. I think it's the Euros. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. Going to be playing for them over the summer. Has played nearly 2,424 minutes this season with 33 matches played. 12 goals and 2 assists, so 14 goal contributions playing for a relegation team is not bad. But here's where I wanted to... Oh, was it this one? Yeah, okay. Wait, have I got it wrong? Who did I want to see him? Yes, so Benjamin Sesko, Jean-Philippe Mateta, Jamie Vardy has been compared to, but I did see, this looks like it's changed. The stats have changed compared to what I saw before. I wonder if this changed, because it had him compared to Isak and others. That's weird. Or maybe I just misread it. I thought I was going to see Isak and Gordon, to be honest, but yes, Sesko and others. But let's look at his stats and see where I'm going from. I got that wrong, guys. Apologies. I do see him though. We did a profile on him previously, and he's very much a. They see him as a complete forward. If you guys remember, we did it with Steve. And Steve really likes Big Steve. He really likes Liam Delap. So let me share my screen. Let's compare him to Isak. And let me know what you guys think. Do you guys think you can see Liam Delap playing alongside Isak as well? That'll be a key thing. Right. So, and also keep it in context that some of these stats that you're going to see, Liam Delap is playing for a relegation side in Ipswich who on every metric this season are lower to Newcastle in possession, in shots, and shot creating, goals conceded, everything else. So all of that is going to impact the stats that you'll see for Liam Delap. But if we take a closer look at certain stats as well, we also get to see some of the qualities that Liam Delap has. So key strengths of Liam Delap over Alexander Isak: shooting efficiency. Very interesting. Delap is more efficient per shot, 0.3, compared to Isak's 0.22, and per shot on target. So shots on target, 1 versus 0.51 of Isak, with expected value per shot of 0.34 versus 0.19 of Isak. That is very interesting. So his shot efficiency, shots on target, quality of shots, and he has less of those compared to Isak because we create more chances than Ipswich. So it appears that Mr. Delap certainly is able to strike a ball and is able to take his opportunities when they come, which is interesting. Defensive contributions, again, isn't a surprise because he's having to do a lot of defending for Ipswich. We saw that when they played against us. Pass blocking, again, not surprising. He's having to do a lot of that playing for Ipswich. So past it there. Where Isak has an edge in a few places: goal scoring and playmaking. Isak has higher goals, 0.8 versus 0.45 of Delap. Assists, 0.22 versus 0.007 for Delap. Again, I think it's affected by the teams that he played for. He's more prolific scorer and creator, which is a surprise when you've got Tonali, Joe Linton, Murphy, Gordon next to you. I wonder what Delap stats would look like if he was surrounded by the same players. And so I wouldn't be surprised if Isak had a similar stats to Delap playing for Ipswich. Ball progression. Isak excels in progressive carries, 1.96 compared to Delap's 0.59. He is very good on the ball, Isak. And progressive passes, 1.72 versus 0.38 for Delap, making him more effective at advancing play through dribbling. His passing involvement, completes more passes. Again, I think this is down to playing for Newcastle's chance creation, dynamic movement. Isak has more touches in the attacking third. Is not surprising playing for Newcastle. More take-ons and greater carry distance, 340 meters. So is it 340? Probably yards versus 317, showing he's more dynamic and influential in attacking areas. I do think Isak obviously is brilliant. I just wonder if Delap played for Newcastle, what his stats would look like. So in summary, Delap's key strengths over Isak lie in his shooting efficiency. And that is interesting because if his shooting efficiency is this good playing for Ipswich, how many I would expect to be even better playing for Newcastle because he'd have more opportunities to shoot and possibly his goal record would also improve. Defensive work rate and pass blocking making him more efficient finisher, but also it's this hard working forward off the ball, which is why Eddie Howe's looking at him. And in all those places, Delap, Anthony Elanga, Guehi are all players that work hard off the ball. Isak, however, dominates goal scoring, playmaking, ball progression, passing involvement, and chance creation, making him a complete and more impactful forward in both scoring and creating opportunities. Keeping in mind, Mr. Delap is 22 years old, so it's a couple years behind Isak in progression. And Newcastle would certainly be that next step for him as well. So it's very, very interesting comparisons there. And I personally can see, let me show you guys the highlights of Delap as well. Pace, power. He's a powerful runner as well as how described him as well. So let me show you guys the highlights of him. And before we go back to the chats as well, I nearly started watching it by myself. Nearly started watching it by myself. Where are you? James Trafford, Marc, Guehi, Eddie Howe, Anthony Elanga. Where are you? All right, so there's YouTube. I'll just find Liam Delap again. And we'll get a little bit of a take on Mr. Delap. See, the Manchester United propaganda machine is in full flow. So make sure you guys can see that. Yes, you can. Let's have a butchers. So 14 goals, 2 assists. Is it 14 goals? No, 12 goals, 2 assists, 14 goal contribution. Is not bad. So he likes also, lovely little take on there. He likes to also come on the left, on the left flank as well. Partly because obviously he gets to go on his right foot. You saw it there. Again, take on, strength, layoff. Lovely goal, by the way, there. Again, linking up play, getting past players. Lovely reverse ball there. Take on and then power, pace, power, running. Lovely through ball as well. Linking up the play there. I can see that going off to Isak as well. Penalty taken, high pressure situations. Running again with the ball. Shoots. That's why he scored. That's why his goal efficiency is so high, guys. This is mid to long range as well. Like, he's very, very good. His striking is very, very, very good. Lovely cutback. Look at that for a finish. In between what? 2 defenders? 3 defenders? Fantastic finish against Villa. Giving the keeper no chance. You can see how his goal efficiency is so high. Back to goal. Turns around. Shoots. This is why his goal efficiency is so high, guys. And this is why Newcastle are looking at him. This is incredible ball striking. It's almost Harry Kane-like, to be honest. Again, through to the ball there. He caused Tottenham havoc that day, by the way, with his running. Powerful running there, right there. Past the defender, one-on-one beat keeper. Going back to that goal efficiency, guys. He's very, very, very good. So, guys, let me know what you think of Mr. Delap. Would love to know your views. I'll read a few chats before I give a little bit of a roundup of what do all these players mean for Newcastle, and where is Eddie Howe and Paul Mitchell heading to? Liam Knowles, do you not think this will be the first draft of Mitchell signings, European Cup and coming rather than Prem Tax? European. That's a great question. I think it's actually. I'll hold that thought, Liam, and I think Eddie and Paul Mitchell have found an alignment, and I'm going to be talking about it a little bit more in the next slide. So hold that thought, Liam. Very, very good question. So do you not think this will be the first draft of Mitchell signings, European up and coming rather than Prem Tax? I think there's an alignment between Paul Mitchell and Eddie Howe going forward. So we'll see that. Not digging Liam Knowles, not digging Elanga, more value in European markets, and I think there might potentially be. Magnus Akliouche springs to mind, but I think that Prem experience is they're leaning heavily on. Adrian Pickett, Saka would be a statement signing. Yeah, I think so. And his dad's a supporter, isn't he? 5 million Liam Knowles plus value comes back to Forest. That would be great. William Smith, if Forest has PSR issues, then go back and get Anderson back. Yeah, that's a good call, William. Mike Mag FC, good to see you, sir. God bless you. Hey, Philip, great to see you. Great to see you. Good to see you, sir. Hit the likes, folks. Hit the like, folks. Thank you for that, Mighty Mag. Yes, please, guys, do hit the likes. Do hit the likes, please. Anthony Allen, Rooney, Badaji. He's coming off a big injury, isn't he? On a free could be a decent. Is he available for free? Could be a decent option on the right. He's been doing some recovery work with Wilson earlier this year. Yeah. I think I read some scouting report on him. I might look him up. Good call there, Anthony. I'll look him up again. Davey Eddie, a lad you highlighted a short while ago, Philip, Magnus Akliush. Yes, he's got tons of potential. He does. So skillful, Champions League tested. He is. I really, really enjoy watching him play. I've watched him play now 8, 9 times now. Yeah. There's something else. I'll be excited and I'll be nervous if we got him. Not because he's not good, but just because he's different. He's different to Elanga. Magnus takes up from what because he plays in such a heavy for a team from Monaco, that such a heavy possession based side. He has he often is able to take up positions in different areas and wait for the ball to come. Whereas playing in the Premier League, he's going to have to adjust that a little bit. But I think, and then maybe that's why I'm a bit nervous, but I think he has the ability to do that, to take on the ball and carry the ball. I think he can do that. Liam knows now Salah staying gives less chance of Liverpool going for Bakayoko. And I forgot about Bakayoko. All of that's gone a bit quiet. Good call there, Liam. Liam knows we need potential Tonali, Isak quality right wing to take us to that next level. Give us some names, Liam. I'll be interested. I think you might have. Do you think it's Bakayoko? Is it Bakayoko for you, Liam? Sophie B, no, I'm home now. Got back today, hence I'm back. So the first thing you've done is jump back on the Toon Tactics TV. Good to see you. I hope. Greece must have been so nice during this time of year as well. Well done to you. 1 week, that's it. If not, deal is 1 week, that's it. If not, deal is off. Is that to me? Let me know what you mean, Sophie, unless you're talking to somebody else. Sophie B, did you chat about the links to Kobo? Or to the goalkeeper? I didn't. I'll be honest. I didn't take it. I think maybe because I just think we're gonna get James Trafford, so I haven't been following up any goalkeeper ones. But let me know what you think about Kobo. Do you guys think he's good? I don't think I've seen him play before, but do you guys think he's good? Let me know. Sophie, let me know what you think as well. Whether I'll sleep personally 30 to 40 million for Guehi. Okay, very good player, but I feel for more. I'd want ceiling to be raised than he raises it for us. Okay, interesting. For me, he does raise the ceiling. I think he changed the dynamic of how we play, especially playing out from the back together with Trafford. His experience and leadership again, and I can see him partnering with Botman really well. But yeah, there's interesting. It's interesting how these things can kind of, you get different opinions on him. Where the owl sleeps, Isak just off the lap, like Sweden do with Isak. Exactly, yeah, exactly. And Gyökeres would be a problem. Yeah, I know I did a post on him, but I'm still not sold on Gyökeres, and I think it's mainly because of the Portuguese league. I want to be proven wrong. I think Gyökeres has to prove me wrong, to be honest. Davey Eddie, good point, Philip, about Delap. If he had been playing for the Toon, I think he would be near. I do. I think he'd be. I agree with you. I think if you're already scoring 12 goals for relegated Ipswich, heaven knows what you will be scoring for Newcastle. Sophie B, yes, please to the lap as second striker. I think that'd be incredible. I think that'd be a very good quality. I would see that almost the same kind of backup as Barnes and Gordon. Maybe after a year or so, but you know where I'm going with it, Sophie. Mighty Mag, Delap, body language. Was he saying, sign me up? He was funny. He dived a couple of times in that game as well, but it's almost like I like his I like his personality. I like how he comes off. Mighty Mag. A few of us on here watch Spurs and Man U channels. They think they are signing Delap. Can you really see Delap signing for us? Great question. Yes. So I can see better than Cunha. I thought Cunha would do it, but then he's that went quick. And that's mainly because on the back of consistent reports coming from the Laps camp where Man United, Chelsea, Newcastle are all after this guy, but he wants to wait for the next 2-3 weeks to see who qualifies for Europe and where. And that's been a very consistent message from Delap. It hasn't been so from Cunha. And I think that goes into his game time. We spoke about it earlier. So Newcastle have nearly played 50 games, maybe approaching 50 games. I think going next season, if we're in the Champions League in particular, which I believe it will be, that will be another 5 to 8 games automatically. I can't remember how many games they play in the group stage. So he will definitely be getting high-end European experience. He knows we love to go. We love to go deep into the domestic cup competitions, obviously in the league itself. So, and I think the offer to him is to also play alongside Isak and not just to rotate. So plenty of game time. And I just think Eddie Howe improves. Like, again, no offense to Chelsea and Man United, but I think with the players that we've improved so far since Eddie Howe took over, exceed those gut clubs. Astro Linton, Botman, Tino, Hall, Isak, even Bruno, Byrne, who's now an international player. All these guys and more, honestly, Osola is going to be there in a moment as well. Like, I just think if you're Delap and you want to go from good to great, I think Newcastle is your team. But I am a very, very, very biased Newcastle fan. So I think we stand more chance of Delap than we did with Cunha, in my opinion. So a couple more chats before we kind of get into the conclusion part of all of this. With all these 4 players, what do they mean? And answering a question that Liam Knowles asked as well about with Paul Mitchell's influence, aren't we maybe getting more European players as opposed to Premier League players? Consistent Magpies, good to see you, sir, and God bless you. Hi, Philip. Hi to you, sir. Is Schlotterbeck another smokescreen like Barella was? I think I think that thing was about Schlotterbeck. Just that, the way that came off to me, that I was saying it earlier, consistent Magpies, it was about Schlotterbeck saying, I'm injured, but it's Newcastle came in for me, but I'll still go for Dortmund, despite where Dortmund finished, despite these teams talking for me, yada yada yada. I'm still loyal to Dortmund. That's what it was all about, and they just wanted to mix Newcastle's name into it. And maybe Newcastle did talk to him, but he's kind of I took that report as Schlotterbeck and his agent leveraging that situation with Dortmund to show them that he's loyal to them, give me a better contract, I want to stay. That's how I took it. So, yeah, but I do think he's a very, very good defender. One more, Magpies, Philip, one last, what about Huijsen? Do you think that's on the cards? Huijsen's another one, just like Delap is keeping his options open. But I think Liverpool are in for him. Chelsea are in for him. I think we're very much at the back of the queue on that one. But his main thing is minutes. And if you've got Van Dijk and Konate playing, but again, they've got Europe, they've got domestic cup competitions. It's up to him to think about, how much minutes really am I gonna get, and at one point am I gonna be first team? I think Newcastle would offer. He has a far greater chance. If you can't, he has a greater chance. Overtaking Fabian Schar than he has in overtaking Konate and Van Dijk. So, yeah, it's an interesting one. But I think Liverpool and Chelsea and those guys, I think Liverpool in particular, are in the lead. Isn't Schlotterbeck, isn't Schlotterbeck also very left-sided, Mitch? I don't know. I have to read his profile, but I just remember him playing against us. I thought he was decent. We need the RCB. We do. All right. So let me let me conclude. What do all these? If Newcastle play, I want to talk about what this means in terms of Paul Mitchell and Eddie Howe. How do they see us growing the team as well? So let's have a look. And what does it mean with all these players that it looks like we're targeting? So how Eddie Howe and Paul Mitchell are evolving the team. So first of all, if you're just looking at the players that we talked about, James Trafford, Marc Guehi, Anthony Elanga, Liam Delap, they're all youthful, and it's going to be a youthful squad rebuild. So you're going to see the age of our team go down. High potential to create a squad that can grow together over the next 5 to 10 years. So a team that's going to grow together. That's really good, actually. These guys are young, 22 to 24-year-olds. This aligns with Newcastle's aim to lower our age range, absolutely. It kind of reflects a shift away from us, moving away from older players like Callum Wilson, whose contract runs out, but he might get an extension. I get why, by the way, but if you guys, I will talk about that in a moment if you guys want a question about that. Target positional upgrade. So we know, for instance, we need to upgrade our goalkeeping, our right centre-back positions, our right wing forward position, and striker position. So it's good to see that they're also adding depth to the Alexander Isak position of centre forward, position as well. I know we've got a Sola and those guys, but those guys aren't as ready as Delap is as well. So Delap really kind of enhances that position for us, providing that competition with Anthony Gordon as well, because he can play on the left or on the right as well. A little bit, obviously more from the centre, but he can play alongside Isak as well. So a lot more added competition. Navigating financial constraints as well. And we're going to talk about financial constraints in a moment as well. So I made an adjustment to how much Newcastle are going to spend as well. So our transfer strategy. In fact, let me just talk about it now a little bit. So you guys, from those that followed me before, I did my armchair accounting tactics. Armchair accounting. What do you call it? I was an armchair accountant for a moment. And I used our financial statements, recent ones, about our revenue. Also, Swiss Rambles, which is for all those that know, are like financial experts on football stuff as well. Their reading of our finances and AI to kind of deduce that should Newcastle, for instance, at the time when I did it, if Newcastle qualified, for instance, the Europa League, and obviously won the League Cup, how much would we be able to buy, and how much would we need to sell with the transfers, and how much we'll be able to obviously to buy, making sure that we're within our PSR PSR limit. So essentially, went from a scale of if we were to spend 112 million at the time, we would have to make player sales about 31.9 million. And if we spent all the way up to, if we were to spend 133 million, we would have to sell about 50 million pound in players. That's under the conditions of us being in Europa League. However, should we qualify for the Champions League, assuming Newcastle United qualified for the Champions League, under its new format, there is a lot more revenue available to Newcastle United. And our revenue can go, obviously it's currently at 320 million, but it can go up to between 360 to 380 million as well. So that changes a lot for us. So if Newcastle were to spend 112 million on the 4 transfers this season, we would only need to sell £9 million worth of players. And if we were to buy 133 million, if we were to spend 133 million, so about 20 million more, we would only need to sell £13 million worth of players. So what does that mean? Well, what that means essentially is, if you guys remember, there'll be less reason for us to sell Harvey Barnes. He was on sale. He was been talked about alongside Longstaff before. I mean, if we were to spend 133 million, if we were to qualify for Champions League and spend 133 million, we would only need to sell Sean Longstaff, really. And, some of the other guys like Matt Target, Radicamos, hopefully. Nick Pope will probably go. Either Nick Pope or Dubravka will probably go, and we would be more than covered should we qualify for the Champions League. But we can keep our better players like our Harvey Barnes, rather than be in the position where we're more open to letting him go, because we have to keep up with player sales, and that allows our squad to continue to grow together as well. And we've got way less of a need to sell our top players like Bruno Gomes, for instance, in order to keep up with ourselves. So it makes a big difference qualifying for the Champions League and navigating these transfer constraints that we have. We're also looking at Premier League proven talent, and this goes towards Liam Knowles' point around with Paul Mitchell. Essentially, wouldn't we have more of an expectations for European talent to come in? And I think so. Howe appears to favour. We know that Howe favours players with expensive in English football, likely to ensure quick adapt. So this is why he likes Premier League players. They adapt to Premier League quicker. They're to the intensity. All these players that we talked about, Anthony Elanga, players in the field, Anthony Elanga, Liam Delap, Marc Guehi, all of these players have played in the Premier League and obviously James Trafford or the Championship, reducing the risk of adjustment periods. However, Mitchell's broader vision is to expand Newcastle's scouting network globally, suggest future evolution, though the current focus remains in the familiar pool. So, for instance, Antonio Cordero, the young player that we brought in, is it Baron Yildiz as well, the young player as well. So I think Paul Mitchell's influence in terms of young talent, gems across Europe is very much in those kind of 18 and younger, 19 and younger categories. And I think you're going to see a lot more of those players in the next few years. So we're kind of sticking a little bit more to that Howe's Premier League approach for the first team, but Paul Mitchell's approach when it comes to young talent across Europe. So that way they're a bit more aligned. But a Liam Delap for £30 million release clause, I think they're both, he's young, he's talented, but he's also, there's a good financial incentive that the cost is relatively low. So I think they'll be aligned on the Liam Delap. And obviously rumor has it that they'll also land on Osola, for instance, as well, who's obviously from England in terms of playing in England. But he's a young talent, a raw talent that they both aligned on as well. So I think they found a compromise. More than that, I think they found, like I said, I think they found alignment, and I think both their visions of how to progress the club, the squad is working. And lastly, fifthly, there is also a tactical evolution. So the profile of these players indicate Howe's desire for a high pressing dynamic team. If you've got a Marc Guehi and partnering with Botman, you've got the pace, you've got the dual winning ability in 1v1 to allow yourself to press up. Elanga, Delap work rates off the ball. Newcastle will bring back that intensity. Delap's, he's winning 0.7. Delap is winning 0.77 tackles per 90. That's really good. He fits a system that demands forwards to contribute defensively, so that works for us. Guehi's 1v1 defending. He's winning 66.7% of his success rates, and Trafford's shot stopping 84%. Provide a solid foundation with their technical abilities. Trafford at 78% pass completion. Guehi's set piece involvement, aligning with Howe's emphasis on building out from the back. So you can see a real evolution. The intensity is going to be even higher with these players because they're younger, they're stronger, they're working off the ball. You're going to see us also playing higher up because their athleticism is going to be brought in, but also players of that technical ability who are able to carry the ball. In your Marc Guehi's, you're going to have your ball-playing goalkeepers as well in terms of James Trafford. I think we're going to see a real kind of evolution of Newcastle squad going forward. So I want to talk about, and I was going to end off just kind of some of the other themes that are common between these players as well. But before I go on to that, let me see if you guys got any more chats as well. So let me know what you guys think of it so far. I'm really, really excited. It doesn't have to be exactly all these players. We don't know. But these are the players that we've either bid for, or Tier 1 journalists have been talking about. And I, for one, would be really, really excited. I'm really excited for the summer, in my opinion. Mighty Mac going to Chelsea is just to bulge your wallet. Yeah, it could be, though. I know they've got a strict wage, but maybe the contracts as well, and they've got some real heavyweight contracts as well. But I see where you're coming from, Mighty Mag. Luca talks. Luca, good to see you, sir. Good to have you on the channel. God bless you, sir. Good to see you. I was on with Luca on Richie's channel as well. My United channel was talking of Luca's Arsenal fan, but we was talking about our teams. Good to see you, Luca. I hope you're having a great evening. Mighty Mag. Sooner Chelsea gets found out with their dodgy hotel sales, the better. They have been found out. They just got a loophole. Evening, Luca. Everyone's welcoming Luca. Good to see that. My Mag rumor, Leeds sniffing around Longstaff. Yeah, I talked about that earlier. Longstaff is going to be wanted by promoted clubs. He's a certified Premier League player, works hard off the ball, decent on the ball. I know he's not as good as Tonali, for instance, but he's decent on the ball and everything else. Everton be looking for him. There'll be suitors. There'll be teams that would want Longstaff. Good to see that you're good, Luca, as well. So I wanted to also kind of, like I said, finally, I wanted to be able to talk about the common theme between, to kind of narrow down on the common themes between all of these players as well. So the common themes among Delap, Elanga, Guehi, Trafford, all of these players are in their early 20s, aligning with our youth-focused strategy. All of them have height and physicality. Most of them are like 6 foot. Liam Delap is 6'1". Anthony Langa's at 5'11". Marc Guehi's at 6 foot. James Trafford is 6'6". He doesn't look at it, but he's absolutely tall. And I was meant to look at this, guys, but I forgot to do it. If I got time, I wanted to be able to see what agencies they work for. Not the work for that work for them, really. Because you guys know about this conspiracy around CAA agency, and I think Newcastle got a close relationship with them. If I've got time, I'll look it up and see how many of them are on the CAA agency. Ability and playing style. So Premier League experience. They've got incredibly good work rate and defensive contributions. They have real good technical ability and ability to progress the ball as well, whether it's through passing, whether it's on the ball, like dribbling, take on, set pieces, involvements, all those type of things. Efficiency and reliability, whether it's the lap shooting, whether it's Trafford's overperformance against like expected goals, whether it's Guehi's keeping Guehi's low error rate, suggest players who can deliver on a consistent and impactful base, which is what you need if you're challenging for trophies in particular, and developmental potential. Each player has shown strong performance, but has a clear areas of growth. Making them ideal for a club like Newcastle that aims to nurture talent, which we do very, very well. For example, Elanga can improve his final product, 100%, assists and passing, while Delap can increase his overall involvement, touches on the ball as well. So, these guys are not the finished article, but Newcastle with our environment that's nurturing and everything else, we've got the ability to help them reach that target, to reach their full potential. So in conclusion, Eddie Howe and Paul Mitchell are shaping Newcastle into a younger, more physically imposing squad that compete in the Premier League and avoid the PSR constraints. We're targeting Premier League proven players in the early 20s who combine physicality. They're all tall, strong. They have high work rates, high technical ability, and real room for potential growth. The focus on these players suggests a tactical evolution towards a high pressing we're going back to it. A high pressing, transitional style with a solid defensive core, aiming for long-term success rather than short-term fixes. Aston Villa and Rashford and Asensio and all these other players. This strategy balances. Newcastle don't want to do that. This strategy balances Howe's immediate needs of Mitchell's vision for. This goes to Liam's earlier question. This strategy balances Howe's immediate needs of Mitchell's vision for sustainable growth. Though their reliance on English talent hints at a cautious approach to recruitment expansion. So bringing in young players with high potential is still in alignment with Mitchell, but also in line with Eddie Howe's vision, which is I need players that are ready to play, who've played in the Premier League or in the Championship. So that's where they found alignment, and it's working. And I think this summer we'll be able to cap that off as well. So there's real potential there for us as well. So guys, let me know what you think about that. Why, guys? Let me just quickly see, because I've got this. So I'm really excited, guys. Honestly, I think Liam Delap, Anthony Elanga, Marc Guehi, James Trafford. If we were to get that sort of window, let me just look at this. Let me look at transfer windows. I want to know before I conclude. I want to know how many of these guys play for a CAA agency. But let me know what you guys think. I think. For me personally, like I said, with these players, the team, the squad, the team is moving in the right direction. And let me see if you guys can see it. Yeah, you can see it. We haven't bought a first team player in 18 months now, 3 transfer windows, and we've won a cup. We're competing for Champions League, and now we're looking to bring in players that lift our technical ability, that lift our physicality, that lift our work rate, lower our age as well. And personally, I'm very, very excited about what the future could bring. So this is the first one. Let me see. Does Anthony Elanga play? Who's his agency? He's got a League Cup. Who's his agency? Oh, guys, look at this. Anthony Elanga's agency, CAA Stellar. All right, so that's 1 out of 4. I haven't checked this out yet, guys. So this isn't a plan from me. I'm just curious. CAA Stellar. Let's look out for this. So Anthony Elanga's CAA. James Trafford. Who's your agency, James Trafford? Who do you work? Who works for you? You don't work for them. They work for you. They're your agency, though. Guys, his agency is who? Did I come out of it? James Trafford's agency is the same agency as Anthony Elanga. Yes, you guessed it. It is CAA agency 2. So that's 2 out of 2. Marc Guehi. Let's go on to Marc Guehi. Who's Marc Guehi's agency? Who is Marc Guehi's agency? Okay, he's got a different one. It's Unique Sports Group. All right, so 2 out of 3 so far. 2 out of 3 of these guys play for are under CA agency. Who's the one who didn't check? I did James Trafford, Anthony Elanga. Okay, Delap. Liam Delap. Who is Liam Delap's agency? Who is Liam Delap's agency? Let's have a look. Oh, it's CAA Stellar. So 3 out of 4 of our transfer targets, their agency is CAA Stellar. And I've seen someone mention it, and I follow this because someone said ages ago that we have a good relationship with these guys as well. So CAA Stellar. Let me remind myself, is Eddie Howe under CAA Stellar, by the way? So we have a lot to talk about with CAA Stellar. There's going to be a lot of business done with CAA Stellar. Let me know if you guys are still here engaging. What do you guys think of that? 3 out of 4 of those players, and again, I didn't set it up that way. 3 out of 4 of those players are all under the same agency. Does it have Eddie Howe's agency? League Cup winner, Mr. Eddie Howe. He's got Wasserman. Okay, all right. So it's different for Eddie Howe. Interesting. Right. So let me finish up on the chats and conclude the stream. See what you guys are saying. Mighty Mag, I won't be surprised we get some young hit from Europe. And I hope that's a versatile midfielder, because that's what we really, really need. But I would, like I said, my main one would be Matheus Fernandes. I would really like Matheus Fernandes. Bobby Fairview, good to see you. God bless you, sir. Big up, Philip. In late today. Hope everyone is doing well. Whenever you get here, Bobby, it's always a blessing to have you. Good to see you. My man, excuse me, one of Mitchell's secrets. What's that? Check who Huijsen agency is. All right, let me see. Who's Dean Huijsen's agency? Dean Huijsen's agency. Dean Huijsen. I always spell his name wrong. I know he's got a J somewhere. Dean Huijsen agency. Can you guys see that? Yeah, you can. Dean Huijsen's agency is zoom. His relatives are his agents. He's relatives, so he's independent. He's independent, Mighty Mag. He's independent. Bobby Fairview, I will restart the stream at the end and listen to what I've missed. Appreciate you for that, Bobby. Hope you enjoy it. It actually leads me on to I'm going to conclude and give a little wrap up on what we talked about. So, guys, as always, thank you for joining. We started off the show just talking about kind of other Newcastle news because it led to the overall theme of the show. We talked about Newcastle's transfers, summer transfers, and what it could look like. So Sandro Tonali obviously is looking to stay, which is really, really positive. Hopefully that means Isak and the other guys are looking to stay as well. We talked about how the Telegraph, Tier 1 journalist, in my opinion, Luke Edwards, so that Liam Delap is Newcastle's #1 target. Mr. Delap is obviously looking for a club at the moment that is going to be playing in Europe, with Chelsea, Man United, and Newcastle looking for his signature. We talked about, so that we're keeping those players. Sean Longstaff, Leeds are looking at Sean Longstaff, which again isn't surprising. He's a certified Premier League player, so if you're a newly promoted club, that's the guy to go to. We then talked about our guys. We talked about essentially we talked about the transfer window. We talked about how it's shaping up for Newcastle. We talked about how James Trafford, Marc Guehi, Anthony Elanga, and Liam Delap, all these guys who are heavily linked to Newcastle. Some of these guys have, in Marc Guehi's and Anthony Elanga's case, Newcastle have bidded for these guys previously. And actually, they're also part of Anthony Elanga, James Trafford, and I think Liam Delap are all part of the same agency, which is interesting as well. CAA Stellar. We'll have to look them up for next time. So, and we talked about what if Newcastle were to get these guys, and what does it mean? Like how essentially our technical ability would raise, especially when we're playing out from the back. So Newcastle from Marc Guehi, who's able to take on players, shift to the shoulder, break lines either through carrying the ball or through his passing. James Trafford, ball playing goalkeeper, who's been overperforming in saving shots. He's an excellent shot stopper and saves a lot of penalties as well. Doing exceptionally well in the championship. So Newcastle looking to play even better from out the back. The technical ability is raised. You've got players that are working hard off the ball as well, with Anthony Elanga, Delap, and the rest of those guys as well. Anthony Elanga, very dynamic player, loves to shoot, loves to carry the ball. Liam Delap, exceptional shot efficiency as well. So the technical level, the physical level, these guys are all like coming up to 6 foot. Work hard off the ball as well as have real technical ability about them. So the intensity of Newcastle is going to raise, the technical ability and the overall technical floor of Newcastle is going to raise, and it gives us a lot of tactical flexibility. So Elanga is quite different to Jacob Murphy, who's more of a passer. Obviously, he's got that wicked right foot crossing in the ball, whereas Elanga likes to attack the penalty box, catch teams with his pace off with his transitional playing. James Trafford's a ball-playing goalkeeper in comparison to your Nick Popes. Marc Guehi obviously can carry the ball and get past pressing defenders better than Fabian Schar, who again likes to pass the ball a little bit more. Liam Delap has, I think, similar qualities to Isak. Also works really, really hard off the ball. He's got good defensive ability as well, just like Delap, Guehi has. So I'm personally, and also the financially, how all of these guys fit our PSR situation, but also with the Champions League money, I think we could also be really, really very much within PSR and actually a lot more flexible with it as well. So I'm personally very, very excited about where Newcastle are heading to. The main thing now for us is to qualify for the Champions League, and I think that opens up doors for a lot of the players that we've been looking for. And the last thing is for all these players that none of these guys, Trafford, Elanga, Guehi, Delap, none of these guys are the finished article. They are all good players. Maybe one is a very good player. One or two are very good players, but they're all trying to be great players. And they've got the hunger for more. And I think with our track record under Eddie Howe, the way we nurture and develop players, Livramento, Hall, Lewis Miley, all the way up to Joe Linton's, Isak, Bruno Gomeres's, we have a proven track record, a really, really good proven track record of improving players. And I think we're the right guys for them. So, guys, I'm going to wrap it up. I'm going to read the final few chats as well. I promised to wrap it up earlier, but I've got a few chats here. So I'm personally very excited about where Newcastle are headed. We just need to qualify for the Champions League. And we're going to be speaking of the Champions League, I'm going to be doing the match preview this Thursday for Brighton. That's going to be a massive game for us. They all are now. Bobby Murphy, did I miss any praise for Jacob Murphy? He was outstanding. I did talk about him. Let me know what you think. I compared him to Anthony Elanga, so how they play as well, looking at different strengths. So let me know what you think. Mighty Mag, great show, Philip, as always. God bless you, Mighty Mag. That means a lot coming from you, as always. Thank you, sir. Bobby Fairview, is there a more accurate crosser of the ball in the league than Murphy at this moment? Pinpoint. I couldn't agree with you more. Davey Eddie, great stuff. Thank you, sir. Loads of content. Really exciting times ahead for NUFC. Thank you, sir. And yes, tons for us to look forward to as Newcastle United fans. Well, before Delap was so ordinary against Newcastle. He was, but I think he had no choice because we were just so dominant over his team. They could have had Ronaldo, Messi playing for them, but when the other 10 players weren't as good, the main guy suffered. But yeah, I'll take your point, Bobby. Mighty Mag, Bobby, but Delap has the biggest heart than Mickey. And on that note, guys, God bless you. Have a great evening. And as always, folks, make sure you look after each other and yourselves. And God bless you, folks. Take care now.